So if you're looking for, generic, sorry, if you're looking for a public service to perform, that might be a great one. Did you see a lot of lactic acidosis problems?
We saw zero.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, is metformin's got this bad rep, and I've never seen a case in my entire career.
So here's the thing, it's so interesting, because like I've gone to ADA and stuff, and the Europeans are like, what is this weird obsession you guys have with lactic acidosis? Like it never happens. And I'm sure it does. So the way that whole came about was fenformin, an old metformin kind of class drug, was really bad. It did cause lactic acidosis. So when another drug in that class came along, they said, well, we gotta put that same warning on it. But yet, we saw 0 cases of lactic acidosis, 0. And we've gone down and down on our GFR requirements. So we're at 30 now. Yes?
Hi, my name is Candace Rignani. I'm a UCLA Preventive Medicine Fellow. And I was previously trained in pediatrics, so I kind of bring that lens to a lot of my thinking. I loved your talk. Thank you so much. I need to go and read the articles in the New England Journal to get all of the information. But with all of this upstream approach that we're kind of trying to focus on and shift medicine towards, I feel like there's still a lack of focusing upstream enough. And behavioral change is always, like, that's always the big thing, right, is behavioral change. So has there ever been any talk or discussion about trying to institute something like the diabetes prevention program in, say, like an adolescent population, so starting with high school cohorts and then following up over 15 or 30 years and seeing what happens in that group?
I love that idea. Nothing that I know of, but I love that idea. Because I run the adult preventive cardiology program. We get a lot of teen referrals. People are like, I don't know what to do. Pediatricians, no offense, are like, I don't know what to do with this 300-pound 16-year-old.
I can comment on that. Again, my wife, I married up, was the NIH lead for a study called Healthy, where they tried to modify the school environment, and the details will escape me, but there's like 12 or 15 schools, multiple areas throughout the country, both rural, urban, affluent, non-affluent, and they did a complete makeover of the entire school. That included the physical activity, included the diet, included exercise, included drinking water, every incentive you could imagine, and it did work. I think it made one change, and the very, very obese became less obese, but even such an intensive intervention was unable to overcome what had been there over that period of time. So there's been a number of approaches that are on the public health side, making the healthy choice easy choice, obviously banning soda, which my wife did from LAUSD, can make a huge difference, changing the vending machines, et cetera. But it's not something that you're going to find is easy to accomplish, no matter how much you tried in that particular environment with the school environment.
Weight loss is tough.
The behavior change is difficult, and that's why, from a public health perspective, we're always looking how can we simply the healthy choice, the easy choice, getting rid of food deserts, taxing unhealthy food, subsidizing healthy food, etc. But it's still not going to be easy.
So what's so hard, I found in preventive cardiology, like people know what the right thing to do is, and most people want to do the right thing, and they'll do something that's cheap, easy, and tasty. So it's hard to find food in the cheap, easy, tasty.
And the challenge of taking the DPP from an in-person, one-on-one, we didn't talk about the ratio. I think one coach could help about 25 or 30 or 40 people over a year, something like that, during the original DPP.
Yeah, something like that.
As you go to a group base, you can actually do that better. As you go to a digital, you can go even further. We have one coach, a human coach, 500 to 1,000 patients, depending on how much things get automated. And so if you look at trying to blend all of those approaches, you could have an impact at a public health level. But if you just try any one of them, it's probably not going to be powerful enough to move a public health needle, even though it might help an individual. So we have to, I think, be very careful to not think of a personal health service to have a public health impact. It's just, again, against logic, that taking one at a time, even if you hit 200,000, 300,000, that's not 84 million. So the question becomes, how do you really bring it to scale? Digital will help, So there's been 250,000 or more people who've gone through digital DPP. Our company has about 50,000. Omada's claims 150,000 plus 6 or 7 others that are fully recognized. But that's still a drop in the bucket compared to what the need is. So I think we have to think about it across the continuum of approaches.
How do you have?
I just would like you to elaborate on the point that you made, that what we've been telling people about what to eat and when to eat is actually wrong.
Okay, and that was inflammatory, I take it back.
Well, they're starting to talk about reducing the amount of hours that your body is exposed to any sugar inputs.
So okay. I'll go with what I think they're best to do on the whole calorie thing. It's just not true. Your body has different reaction to different calories, and how much, what you eat has different consequences. We know that insulin spikes of simple sugars are so much worse than the same amount of calories in a dense fiber bar or something. The intermittent fasting, I think, is so interesting. I think there's really interesting, tantalizing early data that there's immediate metabolic improvements, even with comparable calories, because of the caloric restriction to 8 hours a day, or just fasting every other day or something. And I don't know if this is right or not, but think of what we were evolved as. We were not evolved to eat all day long every day. It's just not what our caveman ancestors ever got. So I don't know if there's genetics behind that, but there's tantalizing evidence. Thank you so much.
I think Jeff had another question. Jeff, you had your hand up?
I guess more in support of DPP. So our company helps fund DPP and supports educational activities around DPP. And so one of the things that we've identified is, I think there were some sort of comments earlier that physician inertia, physicians, that they look at that patient who is, on that borderline of pre-diabetic, and they don't necessarily know what to do with it. To earlier comments, there's not an FDA-approved treatment for pre-diabetes. They know lifestyle is important, but they actually don't even have that conversation with their patient about being pre-diabetic, because there's not an answer for them. There's nothing for them to necessarily do other than
Diet and exercise.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what DPP does, is it brings back the concept of you can't get someone into DPP unless you had a conversation with them about being pre-diabetic. So I think that there's more work to be done on the physician level there's so much physician inertia just around intensification of therapy for a patient with diabetes. It's 2 to 7 years from A1C over 9 on 2 or more oral medications. And that's statistic. So I think, part of DPP really kind of needs to be involving the physicians to be more aggressive and I think participatory in having that conversation with their patient to get them into a program like this. We worked with a large integrated medical group, 500,000 members. They instituted this, and that's where we really identified the gap was the doctor.
Totally agree.
I'm not going to let you off the hook yet, Carol. Just one more thing. Let's think about the science and this. We're not holding you accountable for theories and hypotheses of some optimistic approaches for the future. I'll just throw out one, which is there any news out of the human biome research that could help turn this around as an example?
I don't think so. Well, if there were a single gene that can control this, we'd have it cured. It's so polygenic and there's so many mechanisms, we're never gonna. That's my pessimistic side,
So one of our very creative doctors in San Diego is hypothesizing and working with some Europeans on the concept of trying to counteract our sedentary lifestyle, which is the service economy, right? to try to do more things to build muscle. So, one thought is just, are you seeing in your data that people who exercise more than 150 minutes, so maybe 300 minutes, are they doing much better?
That analysis has been done, and it's not independently minimally better, but again, it's about weight loss. And to that, it's gonna be 15, 16 genes they find that are involved in that, and it's gonna account for 7% of the difference. It's good, I mean, that's what we see. I mean, a lot of genes cause a little effect, it's not gonna be big.
Do you see that if patients eat a vegetarian, non-fat diet, there's lower conversion to diabetes?
Oh. So we didn't do that in this study. Like virtually none of the people in our cohort were vegetarian, so we don't know from DPP, but there's really good data that a plant-based diet lowers cardiovascular disease, so there's no, that's not in question.
And then the fat piece.
So again, another thing we're told that all fat's terrible, get it out of your diet, but some fat is, some fat's not, and I think we have to, I don't think, well, so we do have an orange program at UCLA. I don't particularly like it for my patients. It's not sustainable for most people.
So you think Mediterranean?
That's the most sustainable thing for most people. No one feels deprived, no one's throwing out anything. Did you have?
Oh, I was just gonna say, we, backing up the lifestyle part, we're taking the same approach with the Women's Health Initiative trial of, instead of focusing on the 30 minutes so many times a week, which is a very middle class or research-based model of what exercise looks like, encouraging the women to increase the number of minutes that they're active. And for the most part in the current trial, we aren't even talking about it, does that mean minutes an hour or minutes a day or minutes a week, but focusing the same as we do with diabetes on that 5% difference, that 10%, that's the little gains that are sustainable, have a huge impact, and that's the part we can move people.
100% agree.
And when we looked over time at that, let's look at how many METs hours, and it's really not that there's this linear benefit of more and more and more. It's being less sedentary.
So here's Carol's craziness. I honestly think that matters way more. Because people who get that 30 minutes a day and then sit at a desk for 8 hours are way worse off than the people who get maybe, 120, minutes a week, but are moving a lot more often, so.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys.
So thanks everybody for being here. I just want to let you know that we will be meeting every third Thursday of the month with our networking lunch at 11:30 right here. Then our program will be 12 to 2. We'll be meeting September 20th. We'll have Tony Kuo with us, the LA Public Health Chronic Disease Medical Director. And we'll also have the American Heart Association talking about some really interesting statistics on heart failure in Los Angeles. We may also have with us the former Associate Director of the National Institutes of Health, Bob Kaplan, talking about the cacophony that's out there on the appropriate hypertension control levels and why there's that cacophony between JNC8, the current guidelines, the European guidelines. So it should be a very interesting discussion. We'll be meeting every third Thursday for the next at least year, except in December we'll have a winter break, and in July we'll have a summer break. So hopefully we'll be meeting here at RAND in the same spot so that we can keep the esprit de corps building in this place with a habit, and third Thursdays seem to be working really well. So thanks again to Rand for hosting us, and I look forward to seeing you back here on Thursday, September 20th.
Hi, how are you?
Neil Kaufman, so good to see you. How are you doing?
Okay.
It's been a while, and you've gone through a few transitions, shall we
We're
say.
about to go through another, so Optimus, you know, we're gonna close things out by the end of the year.
It's been approved, is it just timing, or is it so hard to get someone done?
I think the FTC is still chewing on the approval, so that's.
How have you been?
Good, good, I'm still there, a lot of people have left, I think you can Janelle was listening.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, but lots of changes.
Again,
Fighting the good fight.
So our really exciting stuff is that we've got really solid evidence that 1,200 that save money. And obviously, we've shown that we decrease costs.
Yeah, you were mentioning
So we should just save money. I do, like yesterday, I did another one next Tuesday. I can send you an announcement to it. I think a couple people in the department signed up. But it's good for you guys, I think, whether it be on the P side or on the side, self-management. Do you have a card?
I don't have a
I have
card,
yours.
but I have
Right, that's what I'm saying, it's not.
I have, pharmacy analytics. Okay. But do you know, because I don't, what could you not off the top of my head, so what we know, they stack that in terms of percentages, so that's only data on our actions, not, and I want to give them a little bit of guidance, but I'm not familiar enough with it.
Only the next thing to do is to set up a call with Nina to kind of just really go over it in detail. She's not here.
I think I know she'll pull them into that call.
That's probably the best
So
way
she
to
can
do
get
it.
them.
Yeah, and we'll get our pharmacy people in to check everyone out. That's probably the best way to do it. Okay.
I must have somewhere, so I'll see what
Coming out of our house. heart failure. I don't want to add that, just when I should find that you want to be.